Hello YouTube! We are on the real programming channel about HTML and CSS for beginners, and I'm its host. My name is Andrei. I greet you, welcome on my channel. This is our 99th lesson. We will talk about HTML forms, key points. It is the end of this chapter. So let's can start with brain power. Edit your styled form HTML file and add placeholders to each of text input and tell input choice values. That will give the customer a good hint about what kind of content is expected in each field. Next, edit the same file and add the required attributes to each form field that is required by the Starbus bin machine or the ship to fields. Because bins and bin type have default values, do you really need required on those fields? What happens if you remove the checked attribute from bin type? Do you need required? Then experiment with different browsers and see which browsers support placeholder and required. Bullet points. The form element defines the form and all form input elements are nested inside it. The action attribute contains the URL of the server script. The method attribute contains the method of sending the form data, either post or get a post packages from data and sends it as part of the requires. A get packages from data and depends it to the URL. Use post when the form data should be private, or when it is large, such as when a text area or a file input element is used. Use get for requires that might be bookmarked. The input element can act as many different input controls on the web page depending on the value of its type attribute. A type of text creates a single line text input. A type of submit creates a submit button. A type of radio creates one radio button. All radio buttons will the same name make up a group of mutually exclusive buttons. A type of checkbox creates one checkbox control. You can create a set of choices by giving multiple checkboxes the same name. A type of number creates a single line text input that expects numeric characters only. A type of range creates a slider control of numeric input. A color type creates a color picker in a browser that supports this type and a text input otherwise. A date type creates a date picker in browsers that support this type and a text input otherwise. The mail, URL and the tel types create a single line text inputs that cause custom keyboards to appear on some mobile browsers for easier data entry. A text area element creates a multi-line text input area. A select element creates a menu which contains one or more option elements. Option elements define the item in the menu. If you put text into the content of text area element, it will become the default text in a text area control on the web page. The value attribute in the text input element can be used to give a single line text input an initial value. Setting the value attribute on the submit button changes the text of the button. When a web form is submitted, the form data values are paired with their corresponding names, and all names and values are sent to the server. Css Table Display is often used to a lot of out forms given that forms have a tabular structure. CSS can also be used to style the forms, color, font, style, borders and more. HTML allows form elements to be organized with this file set element. The label element can be used to attach labels to form elements in a way that aids accessibility. Use the placeholder attribute to give the form user a hint about the kind of content you expect in a field. The required attribute indicates a filter is required for the form to be submitted correctly. Some browsers will force you to enter data into these fields before submitting the form. Exercise markup magnets solution. Your job was to take the form element magnets and lay them on the top corresponding controls. In the sketch, you didn't need all the magnets below to complete the job somewhere left over. Here is our solution. We didn't need this. Be the browser solution. And the get or post solution too. Next exercise solution. Here is just the relevant section of the form in the form HTML, and here is the new attribute that select the ground radio button. Okay. Congratulations, you made it to the end. Of course, there is still an appendix, and there are index and the colophon, and then there is a website. There is no escape really. Okay. Appendix left over the top 10 topics we didn't cover. We covered a lot of ground and you're almost finished with this book. We'll miss you, but before we let you go, we didn't feel right about sending you out into the world without a little more preparation. We can't possibly fit everything you need to know into this relatively short chapter. Actually, we did originally include everything you need to know about HTML and CSS, not already recovered by the other chapters, by reducing the type point size to 0.00004 at all feet, but nobody could read it. So we threw most of it away and kept the best bits of this top 10 appendix. First, more CSS selectors. While you already learned the most common selectors, here are a few more you might want to know about. Pseudo-class. You know all about pseudo-class, and pseudo-class elements are similar. Pseudo-elements can be used to select parts of an element that you can conveniently wrap in a div or a span or select in other ways. For example, the first letter pseudo-class element can be used, not pseudo-class element, just pseudo element, can be used to select the first letter of the text in the block element, allowing you to create effect like initial caps and drop caps. You can use the first line pseudo element to select the first line of paragraph. Here is how you use both to select the first letter and line of a P element. Pseudo elements use the same syntaxes as pseudo classes. Here is where making the first letter of the paragraph large and that first line italic. Attribute selectors. Attribute selectors are exactly what they sound like. Selectors that allow you to select elements based on attribute values. You use them like this. This selector selects all images that have a weight attribute in their HTML. This selector selects all images that have an all-out attribute that includes the word flowers. This selector selects all images that have a height attribute with a value of 300. Selected by sublines. You can also select element based on their preceding sublink. For example, say you want to select only paragraphs that have an h1 element preceding them, then you'd use this selector. Write the preceding element plus sign and then the subline element. This selector selects all paragraphs that come immediately after an h1 element. Combining selectors, you've already seen examples of how selectors can be combined in this book. For instance, you can take a class selector and use it as a part of descendant selector, like this. Here we're selecting all paragraphs that are descendants of an element in the Blueberry class. There is a pattern here that you can use to construct quite complex selectors. Let's step toward how this pattern works. First, start by defining the context of the element you want to select, like this. Here is where using descendant selector, where a div with an ID green must but the parent of the Blackwater. Second, the supplied element you want to select, div green a context, and Blackwater p should be p. it is should look like this, like this. P, this is the element. Next we added the P element, the element we want to select, and in the context of the Blackwater, the P element must be a descendant of Blackwater, which must be a child of a div with an ID of green tier. And 3, then specify a pseudo class of pseudo elements, div green tier. It's a context, then it's element, and then we add a pseudo element first line to select only first of the paragraph. That's a quite complex selector. Feel free to construct your own selectors using this same method. Okay, and second, vendor specific CSS properties. We will talk about this in the next lesson. This concludes our lesson 99. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel. Put likes, share with friends, comment, eat fruit, read more books on the topics, and be sure to study regularly, preferably in the evening. Drink more water for the brain. Bye. Thank you.